Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about Star Wars Unlock. So there are 3 adventures. One takes you to the ice planet of Hoth, and that's quite tied in with the films of the old trilogy, where you are on Hoth, and if you've watched those films, some of the puzzles are going to be very reminiscent of what you saw in the films, and that's why that one's probably the easiest of the bunch. The next one, you are going to be a smuggler that has been unfortunately captured by an Imperial Star Destroyer. There's droids and stuff in that one which really sort of sing the Star Wars theme, and not to give too much away, one player will have to be a droid at one point, making the communication a lot harder. And that's not really been done. Just changing that way of communicating between the players was a really exciting bit. Now, it's important to note that because the box says it's for 1 to 6 players. But that part, which was definitely the best part of that adventure, would not be possible if you were playing it solo, or Han Solo. The third adventure sees you go to the Holy City on Jedha, and this is probably the most removed from the sort of the Star Wars films and that sort of stuff. It's very much sort of the expanded universe. It's a really interesting one though. You're still using the same sort of Star Wars logic, maybe some different alien languages pop up and different things like that. There's also a map involved in that one, as well as the everything that goes on the app, and that one is definitely the hardest. Now, value for money wise, you're paying a little bit for the theme, but you're still getting the 3 full adventures, as well as the app which runs all of the stuff, as well as some of the machines and puzzles, and that's a free to download app. Now, the value for money is pulled into question a bit because the first 2 adventures actually only lasted around 30 minutes for us rather than the full hour. The third adventure did take us the full hour, and it did definitely crank the difficulty up, whereas the other 2 were on the easier side. So, you know, you're getting maybe 2 to 3 hours of content, whereas some of the other Unlock games are, you know, they are 3 to 4 hours of content. The theme really does shine through though. Even the tutorial was re-themed. You've got stuff that are mentioned. You've got characters, well-known characters that are at least given a nod to or mentioned by name and stuff like that. So that's a really nice way they've drawn from the theme, certainly with some of the languages aspect. You know, there's loads of languages that you hear in the cantina and stuff in Star Wars, and some of that was brought in. And yeah, generally I felt like we were playing sort of Star Wars scenarios in terms of an escape room. It wasn't just an escape room where any puzzle would have fit in and they've just slapped the theme on. There were some which are more unlock puzzles where it was getting a code, but there was also quite a few where it was Star Wars themed. One interesting thing which I haven't seen in any of the other unlock boxes, they had basically advanced cards. Now at the start of the game, each player, or there was 3 of us, I think you picked 3 exactly, so for us each player picked 1 of these advanced cards, and they basically gave each player a slight bit of information about one of the puzzles later on. This was quite a nice way of doing it when each player had one. I think if you had fewer or more players where not everyone had one, it wouldn't have felt quite as unique, but it was like I had some information that helped us with a task at some point, so I felt like I definitely had input on that, and then each of us had some definite input on at least one of the puzzles. It would be interesting to know how different some of the puzzles would have been. One of them we certainly really lucked out in terms of we had that bit of information that without that information I think we'd have struggled. We'd definitely been hinting more to try and understand that one, because it was sort of out of 4 bits of information, the game gave you 1 obviously. This advanced card gave you a second piece of information out of the 4, and then you could kind of draw a conclusion. But with only the first bit that's on the cards, if we'd chosen a different advanced card during the experience, I think with 1 bit of information we wouldn't have probably guessed the code as a result. So definitely would have had to have hinted there, and maybe we would have actually got more time out of the adventure because of that. As mentioned, the app is free to download, and I think that really does as with all of the other Unlock experiences, it really drives the the game. You've got some music, which was fairly decent in this. It drives the game forward. It's got the constant ticking down clock. You're putting codes in, and it's potentially giving you hints and stuff like that. That worked really well in this one. The puzzles that used the app worked well as well. It's odd though that it's completely standalone. It's sort of the app is actually the Star Wars Unlock app. The Star Wars Unlock Adventures are not on the regular Unlock app, which I did think was a bit unusual. I would have thought they'd have tried to make it even more where you sort of invested in and then you moved over to then play more unlocks if this was your entry point. It's a good entry point though. It's a relatively simple bunch of unlock escape rooms with that nice Star Wars theme, and I think that's what a lot of people will see this for and really enjoy it. And hopefully it means more people then find out about Unlock and board games and therefore enjoy them. Anyway, that's enough from me about Star Wars Unlock, and I'm Oliver East signing out.